Why are F1 pit stops so fast? It takes about 3 seconds to make an F1 pit stop, but it takes far longer to become that perfect. To explain how they do it, here's your insider's guide to an F1 pit stop. First off, how many people are on an F1 pit stop team? There are more than 20 mechanics involved in a single pit stop, and although each person only works on a specific car, during the race they all join together to serve both drivers. Before the season starts, the team is chosen and optimized at the factory. This is a very competitive process that involves thousands of practice pit stops. The lineup is then fixed unless someone is ill or can't be there, in which case there is a trained reserve ready to step in for every position. So, what kit does the pit stop team use? Jacks are used to lift the car up at the front and back. They used to be trolleys, but are now far more complicated with auto drop and pivoting mechanisms and smart switches. They're so complex, the front jack costs about £250,000. Wheel guns are used to remove and tighten the single central wheel nut, which is embedded into the wheel to stop it falling off. For some stats, the guns run at 26 bar pressure, rotate at more than 10,000 RPM, auto switch from loosen to tighten, and are digitally connected to a communication system. They're not cheap either, and the teams have a lot of them. What does each person do? The team is finely tuned, with each person playing a specific part. Let's take it step by step. First, the front jackman slides the jack under the car, lifts it up and pivots to the side. A reserve is there ready in case the first gets knocked over or the jack sticks. The 4 gunners then use laser guides on the wheel guns to follow the car in, so the head is perfectly aligned to loosen the wheel once the car stops. Next, the rear jackman slides the jack under the back to lift the rear of the car. At the same time, the 2 stabilizers stand at the midpoint to stop the car wobbling and are also ready to step forward and lift the car if the front wing is damaged. Then we have the 2 wing adjusters, who are equipped with torque adjusters to change the angle of the front wing flaps and modify downforce if required. The 4-wheel off crew then grab the scorching hot wheels with specialized gloves, slide them off and get out the way. Once they're out of the way, the 4-wheel on crew slide the new tires into position. The 4 gunners step in again to tighten the nuts, clicking a confirmation button on the gun to send a signal to a pit stop management system when done. The front and rear jackmen then release the jacks and lower the car and send another signal to the system. Finally, the pit stop controller, formerly known as the Lollipop Man, receives all the signals, checks the pit is clear, and releases the car by turning the stop-go gantry light from red to green. All in a matter of seconds. What other things can be done in a pit stop? Sometimes a car needs more than just new tyres, so the team might have to remove debris from the side pods to give a clear air route into the radiators, change the front wing if it's damaged, which can take around 10 to 15 seconds, swap a steering wheel if there's an electrical issue, or check suspension or bodywork after an incident. Any bigger problems and the car is jacked up and wheeled back into the garage, either for retirement or to come out for a few laps of extra testing once fixed. Before we continue, we want to give a shout out to our sponsor for this series, Party Poker, who currently have a special sign-up offer. If you head over to the link in the description, open a new account and deposit £10 or more today, Party Poker will match it on deposits up to £400 and give you £40 worth of free play too. Only available if you are 18 or over, T's and C's apply, and please be gamble aware and play responsibly. So, how do teams practice their pit stops? Away from races, teams use a pit stop rig back at base, typically with an electric dummy car, to practice the drill time and again. As well as a standard stop, they take on challenge scenarios like a misaligned car, a nose change, or a steering wheel swap. Mechanics also have special gym training to be strong and agile, so they can cope with the wheel gun torque and wheel weights of more than 10 kilograms. Once at the circuit, every pit lane is different. It could be sloped, have distracting markings or drains, or be closer or further away from the garage. While these may seem like tiny things, they can have a big effect, so to get used to them, teams practice for 30 minutes every day of the race weekend. They also practice during live sessions to get used to the car arriving at speed, and use video analysis to optimize performance. What does the driver have to do? Guided into the pit with a sign from pit wall, the driver has to stop with absolute precision. Each team member stands on a predefined spot, so if the car is misaligned, they have to move, which can add up to a second on the stop. Once in the box, the driver puts the car in neutral, steps on the brake, and holds the steering wheel tight to keep the wheels from moving. They then initiate the launch sequence and place full focus on the light gantry. Just a few seconds later, the revs rise, and when the lights go green, the driver puts the car back in gear, hits the throttle, and heads out, slowly. Pit lane limits were introduced in 1994, and speeds are now restricted to 80 km an hour between the pit entry and exit lines. Cars have limiter buttons, operated by the driver, and anyone exceeding the maximum speed is fined €100 for each kilometre an hour above it, up to €1,000. Does the pit position and box layout make a difference? Funnily enough, it does. The pit box is directly outside the team's garage, and garages are assigned on the previous year's championship order. The first spot gives the best entry angle, but can be tough to exit in heavy traffic. The last is tighter, but gives more time to prepare and has a better exit angle. To help the pit controller release the car, teams create guidance markers along the pit lane to show when oncoming traffic is too close to avoid. Each pit has a gantry above where the car stops to run wheel gun air hoses to the far side and to house a light system and high-speed slow-motion cameras. On the ground itself, the teams spend time brushing away dust and drivers do burnouts in practice to lay fresh rubber down for extra grip. All in all, it's that attention to detail that makes modern pit stops the fastest in F1 history.